Hello, welcome back to another segment in excerpts from A Spiritual Ascension. So hopefully everyone's doing well. I was watching this video this morning talking about, and it's weird how it like popped up on my feed, because I had kind of thought about what I wanted to speak about today, but this seemed like a great segue into that. Anyway, it was talking about how siblings kind of grow up in the same household, same parents, you know, have, I can't say same experience at this point. Same parents, same household, may have gone to the same school, had the same dog, whatever it may be. But children within a family unit that are blood relations so tightly too. Um, Once they grow up, they seem to drift apart. And also understanding that each of us as siblings have different personalities, right? So I started to think about my own family, and I have two older sisters. So there's three girls. And the reason, as you know, that you and I, if you're watching this, and I presume that you're here for the same reason as I am, um, that you've chosen this path of and higher elevation. Sorry about that. um, of consciousness. And thinking about my childhood, I was the youngest, and so all three of us were very different. And I was kind of analyzing. And then if you get a chance to do this, not knowing how you were brought up, some of us were brought up differently than a traditional household, but just thinking about maybe those that even were, if it was stepbrother, sister, something like that, circumstance, thinking about, even though it might have not been blood relations, people that you grew up with and how maybe you were so tight back then, but your soul was meant to go on a different path. For me, my sister's actually my oldest sister, her birthday today. So that's another reason I kind of thought about it. But I haven't seen my sisters now in I know the one, my middle sister, it was 2011. And my other sister, I'm thinking 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. I'm not sure. The last time the three of us were together was after my son's funeral. The next day, they drove me back to Manhattan to my apartment, and they stayed with me for like an hour or so. I think we had lunch, and then they left. And that was the last time the three of us were together. So that was 2007. And each of us, went on to have our own lives. Um, my oldest sister had gotten married first. Um, and she was, her birthday's today, so it's Leo season. She was that one who was kind of always seen the attractive one, um, the one who was a leader, the one who everyone followed. She seemed to not be able to do any wrong for some reason. But later on, I think that built up maybe even pressure on her to be at her highest level, getting all these degrees and things like that. She ended up, in her marriage, deteriorated. She found out she was not able to have children, which was one of her biggest things that she wanted. And later on, I had heard that she had ended up with cancer. And I think and then she had a really bad case of diabetes too. Um, I had already moved kind of away from my family at that point because I was going through this transformation of leaving the past. And as you probably are in a process of doing, is if you find that family relationships are ending, there's a reason for that. I couldn't, it was devastating to me at the time. Um, but now I fully understand the reasonings why. Also, um, I don't know, just anyway, go all too much into it. But it's funny, like growing up, she was like the one, the alpha, child. And my middle sister was, um, say the whiny one, the one I used to pick on her so bad, it was bad. Um, she was very self-conscious, um, and a little pudgy and just I think she always felt not great about herself. But one thing that she could do is she could sew clothes beautifully. And then she ended up getting married to like a really good looking guy who I think really kind of boosted her self-esteem. Um, but there's a whole lot more with that. For me, I'm a Sagittarius. So if you know anything about Sagittarius, I was always around getting into stuff and mischievous and um, I love being in nature. We used to have a dog and I would just go out into the woods and just be always like in the woods and on pathways and even up until this day. I love being in nature. Um, I was laughing earlier because if you can remember back, we used to have the milk crate in the front of the house, right? I don't know if they call it the milk box. And this is calling back. Um, and we used to get milk bottles delivered every morning on our front porch. And as a young person, I knew the milk came, was delivered in some way. But my sisters used to tease me and say, like, that you're so different, like, that you must be the milkman's child. And I had no idea what that meant. Actually, it was an insult to my mother, but um, would cry and say, I'm not the milkman's child, but I had no idea at the time what that meant, but it was just saying that I was so different than everyone else. And thinking about that and um, which is true because I always did feel different than um, people around me. um, there was this comfort level. If I did get close to, like, of course, my family members, or I had my little friends up the street that I played with, but it was always hard for me to be in group situations or to get close to someone. And then once I got close, it always seemed that um, there would be some kind of hurt come out of that. So it's kind of like I can't even describe it, standing there looking at the world around me and just saying that somewhere I don't fit in here. And I'm sure that I just did a video about being the black sheep, can totally understand that. So kind of now thinking too, when you start to understand souls and the awakening of a soul, and looking at my own sisters and seeing that you're now able to view others and see, kind of recognize the karma probably from their past lives that they're dealing with in this life. Okay. You're receiving your past wisdom, kind of reaching down within your soul and grabbing that wisdom in order to kind of now observe other people and see their life circumstances and kind of what their soul is going through and the karma probably that's coming out. Not that it's, we're, you know, um, have all seeing eyes or whatever, or should judge anyone. But I'm sure if you kind of sat down and especially knowing, say, your siblings or whatever, or even your parents and seeing the struggles or whatever it may be that they've gone through, you kind of understand whatever may have happened in a past life for them. Okay. So in this lifetime now, seeing you kind of break away from that family, and there is a reason for that, um, that you have a totally different purpose for being here than really being a part of that family. And your reasoning for being here, for having chosen to come here in this lifetime, was to raise the consciousness of those around you or wherever you're placed by the divine. And there's a good chance that you may move away from your home state, your home country, wherever it may be, in order to be placed in a certain, um, like another state or city or whatever it may be, in order for you to now essentially, really, I don't know if I'm using the right words, sorry, um, now retrieve your new soul family. So just think about it. You've gone through probably many lifetimes with, I'm sorry, that doesn't ring anymore. Um, you've gone through many lifetimes with a certain family, and that was to work out karma with that particular people, change positions. Like you may have been your mother in one lifetime, you may have been the daughter, or vice versa, or the father. You're within a soul family to kind of work out things amongst yourself and work out that karma. If you're here now knowing that you're going through an elevation, you've worked out that karma in order to leave that soul family and to go into a new soul family. You're not here to stay within the same soul family lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. I can't say how many lifetimes you spent with that soul family, but it's now there is a change where it's time for you to now move on to your next like lessons. Okay. Um, and that's the reasoning also for you to leave, cut ties with that family and to now seek out your new soul family. That makes sense. And along the way, also raising the consciousness of those around you. Okay. And that's the reason why you're here, right? You chose in this lifetime to take on that task because your soul has so much wisdom from all the lifetimes that you've gone through. You are an old soul, and using that wisdom now to have been able to accomplish everything you've done as far as moving away from that family, now to go on your ascension journey, right? You're ascending from the past karma that you've dealt with that family, and now going on to your next soul family. And now also being able to have this wisdom to be able to teach others of what you've learned along the way. Okay. Hopefully that all makes sense. If you would again like to speak to me more, um, share with me about your story or hear more about my story, have a personal reading, There's a link below to book time with me. I also have several courses on the ascension process, and you can also find that link below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.